What's up? So today, I'm heading down to a meet in Salt Lake City, since I live in Utah, called Eurobrews. Should be really cool. I apologize, I'm going to be wearing sunglasses for the entirety of this video because it is bright as hell outside. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that I drove one of my kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call it a complete dream car, but one of the cars I've dreamt about owning recently. Yesterday, which was a Fiat 124 Abarth. Short story, it was fantastic. So I'm going to kind of give just a brief verbal review of what I thought about the experience. So we went into the Fiat dealership, oh sorry, Fiat calls it a studio, my bad. And just started looking at the one they had on the showroom floor. Lady was very kind and courteous, totally chill about everything, and in the end, she's just like, well, do you want to drive it? We have, two out there that you can drive. Sadly, we don't have a manual. Well, hell yeah, of course I'm going to drive it. So, very easy. She handed us the keys. I had one of my friends with me, and we took it for a nice jaunt up a nearby canyon. So I'm going to go through kind of a few main points. I'm going to go through the styling and appearance, the interior, I'm going to go through the performance, and then I'm going to kind of go through an overall thoughts. So number one, we've got the styling. There's been a couple people that are hit and miss between it and the new ND Miatas. I personally love the styling. I love the lower flares that they have the fog lights in. I love kind of the angular, angry Italian styling versus the much more, curvy Japanese styling that the Miata has. I love kind of the fins and flares. I love the multiple body colors. When you get it in the proper package, I'll throw a photo up right here, when it has the hand-painted stripes that go down the whole center of the hood and down the back, the black and red wheels, and especially the white with the red accents as well. It pops so much, and it's one of the very few convertibles that I actually think looks great. I'm not a convertible dude. I'm really not. I like coupes. That's why I have this Saab. It's, why I've had a Mazda MX-6 in the past. I just love coupes more than I love convertibles. That being said, it was amazing. Even with the convertible top up, it looks pretty good, which is rare for me to say for a convertible. Number two, the interior. So I've sat in both an ND Miata and in the 124, and obviously there's a lot of similarities. They share a lot, basically the same dashboard layout and whatnot, and roughly the same button pattern and everything. I personally think that's great. You've got an Italian car, and then you've got Mazda electronics. Italian and Japanese. It's a pretty good combination if you ask me. Everything worked great. The gauge cluster looks great because it's a slight bit different on the Abarth than it is on any of the ND Miatas, meaning that the tack is red, it all lights up red. The seats are different, meaning that the stitching and whatnot, you get them nice black with black leather with red stitching. That looks fantastic, and they feel fantastic, by the way, as well. They're very supportive, and yet at the same time they manage to be pretty comfortable. It was pretty tight. I'm a small dude. I'm 5'7", and I only weigh 130. So obviously it's not hard for me to fit in a tight car. But I'd imagine anybody over the size of probably like 250-ish would have a pretty rough time getting comfortable in that car. So I'd probably give the interior, if I had to give it an out of 10 rating, a 7 out of 10. But it was pretty good. I mean, there's a couple materials that you can tell were a little bit cheap, but it's a cheap car. I mean, starting at $28,000, for the Abarth, obviously that's bare bones, but I mean, it's a cheap car, cheap thrills for how much you're paying. It is really fast, really responsive. And also with the interior, the multimedia interface, I found it pretty good. That's kind of one of my main points, is I don't like the iDrive style clicker in the center. I'm just not a fan of that. I don't get why you have this 7-inch wide touchscreen right here, screen right here, why it would not be a touchscreen. That doesn't really make much sense to me, especially when it's so close to the driver and can be so much more efficiently used. Clicking through the menus wasn't exactly hard, it's just kind of annoying, and especially like even switching stations on the radio, you have to kind of play around with it a little bit to figure it out and to get to all the other media settings. Other than that, actually, we move on to performance. performance, because this is another place I'm going to go with the interior and talk about what was great. So, like I said earlier on in the video, the only one they had to loan me for a test drive was an automatic. I was a little bit bummed out about that, but I was pleasantly surprised. As a standard automatic in a relatively cheap car, it was very responsive. Had the paddles behind the wheels. Now, obviously, they're plastic because it's not a Porsche 911R or anything like that. It's not going to have aluminum paddles. They had some great feedback. They felt nice and sturdy. They didn't feel like they were going to break. And the second you clicked it, I mean, it was pretty instantaneous. Barely a gap at all. Maybe a quarter second. It kind of performed exactly like you would want it to. So I had it in manual most of the time that I was going up the canyon, and upshifts and downshifts. Downshifts it would rev match even, so it rev matched great when it comes to the engine and everything. And upshifts would be pretty instantaneous to what I was going to do with power. I did notice that if I tried to shift a little bit too quickly, say I went first, second, and then tried to go straight into third, if I was just trying to kind of cruise a little bit, it wouldn't do it. I'd have to wait about a half second before I could go into third. But usually when you're flooring it and hooding it out like you would be in a small open-top roadster, it isn't that bad because you wouldn't be shifting that quickly because you'd be zinging out the 160 horsepower engine onto the engine. Honestly, it feels a lot bigger than the 1.4 liter. Yes, it's only got 164 horsepower, and forgive me, I don't remember the torque. I'll put it down right here. But it feels a lot bigger than that. It feels like at least a 2 liter. I didn't feel at any point that there was a lack of torque or get up power, because the turbo comes on relatively early, especially for how small the engine is, and continues all the way up till I'd say about 5,500 where it started to taper off. So you have about 1,000 RPMs at the top end where it was kind of starting to get out. But it was really fun. I mean, the 0 to 60 time felt very quick. Same with the multitude of speeds that we got up to during the drive. I think the engine did pretty well, especially an engine that can get 36 miles a gallon while being able to put a smile on your face like that. There's not really too much to complain about. On to the handling. This is what shocked me. I knew it was going to be good, or at least I hoped it was going to be, especially when it's based on an ND Miata. The Abarth, I know it has stiffer springs, stiffer shocks, it's a little bit lower, it's got some better wheels and tires with some grippier tires. I believe the one I had Pirelli P0 Neros, so some pretty good tires. That thing handled like a dream. You could, on initial turn in, it was great. If you turned a little bit more, you would feel the rear end kind of drag around a little bit in a good way. You kind of have this good little feeling of initial almost understeer straight into oversteer exactly like you want. It was extremely predictable. It was extremely comfortable. It was just a fun drive. It was so chuckable. I mean, car only weighs better part of 2,600, I believe. I'll put that right here because I'm an idiot and don't check my facts before I go start doing a video. But it was amazing how quickly that thing went and how much speed you can carry around a corner. I mean, yeah, it's not going to be anywhere close to supercar territory, but it's the fun part of it. That car is just fun, eking out of every fiber of its being that it's an Italian car and a Japanese sports car all rolled into one. There's not much better that it can get than that, in my opinion, as long as it's done correctly, and I'd argue it was. I think there was only once where I ran out of grip, and that was because I was going through a 25-mile-an-hour curve at well over 25 miles an hour. That's a 180-degree sweeping bend. And the car was, even though I lost a little bit of grip on the rear end, it was still totally predictable as to what was going to happen. I was utterly impressed. And so for like kind of an overall review, just to end this quick little video, I would give the car as an entirety an 8 out of 10. So I'd give the styling personally a 9 out of 10. I love it to death. Just if it was a convertible, it'd almost be a 10 out of 10. It'd be close. Interior, like I said earlier, 7 out of 10, mainly to do with the multimedia interface. It's just not what I'd like. Everything else in the interior is pretty good except for a couple cheap materials. Number 3, to do with the powertrain and kind of the performance handling spectrum, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Personally, I'd like a little bit more power. I know that's not the point of the car, so it's not a huge deal to me because I understand that's not where they were designing the car for. They were designing the car to be, performance-wise, on more of the handling spectrum with how much much speed you can carry through a curve in a small, cheap roadster. But I would still give it that rating just because it was pretty damn good. Just some minor improvements would be necessary. I do know that there is a flash tune that you can get, a piggyback tune, sorry, that is not detectable by dealers. That supposedly gains you 50 horsepower. If I do end up buying one, that is definitely what I will do. And even though the exhaust is a little bit loud, especially on cold start, I would definitely do something to the exhaust to make it even a little bit louder, because that 1.4 engine sounds mean if it has good exhaust on it. Overall car, like I said, 8 out of 10. Fantastic car. I think it would be even a great daily. I can imagine somebody in the winter, me, because this is totally a me thing, putting studded snow tires on the rear and just bombing it through winter. We'll see. I might try to see if I can purchase one, and then next year, I don't know if I'll be able to. It just depends on my financial situation. I've got a couple vehicles that I'm trying to sell for profit, like a truck I bought that I'm hoping to profit about $7,000 off of. We'll see. If that turns out, that might be my down payment, but we'll see. So that's about it for now. Thanks for watching, and if you know anybody, please subscribe. I'm just a starting out person. I can use as many subscriptions as possible, and I'd love to continue making videos and to have some fun with it. Thanks, and have a good time.